Hello, and welcome to a hard-hitting interview episode of We Only Look Thin. I am your host, Katherine Weigel. I have lost 150 American pounds, and with me today is...
your hard-hitting interviewer part 2 partner, Donald Weigel.
Rolls off the tongue, people.
I don't know what I was going for there, but I clearly failed spectacularly.
Newscaster, interviewer, whatever. Hi.
Could have been anything. Hi.
Look, we've lost the weight. We're interviewing people about losing the weight.
Yes.
This is a very special episode.
Yeah, we haven't done an interview in a very, very long time, and we're not really an interview show, but friend of the podcast, Rebekah. And we'll let her tell you about it, but she's just hit a giant milestone and is about to hit another one soon, and we thought we'd be fun to have her on.
Yeah, we talk about maintenance. We talk about
life changes and things that worked and things that didn't, and
closets and
yes,
having them.
yes, and the different types of closets there are.
Many types of closets. So open that closet door, step inside this episode of We Only Look Thin. It's very special.
And your tip of the week and your product of the week will come at the end together.
You're going to have to wait. Some people only listen for the tip of the week. Turn it off. You're going to have to wait.
Now you're going to have to listen to the whole episode.
Do the kid scissors that you use, could they be killing you? You'll find out at 11.
Product of the week, kid scissors.
Kid scissors. No, it's like on the news. They're like, is your macaroni killing you? Find out.
Is your
after
refrigerator
we tell you
killing you?
The answer is no.
Find out at the end of the episode.
But you'll have to find out what the tip of the week is for the very end. We'll save it up. So enjoy this episode. We really enjoyed recording it and talking about it and doing it. So I bet you will too.
And you'll really enjoy listening to it.
And here it comes.
And now, without further ado, Rebekah.
And here's a little bit more ado. And now here she is. Okay, goodbye. Hey there. So today we have a very special guest with us, Rebekah.
Very special.
Very special. Hi, Rebekah.
Hi, Katherine. Hi, Don.
Hi.
Hi, Rebekah. Hello.
Hi. So we have another inspirational person on the podcast today. It's not just me and Donald. We got more to share. So
yeah, just before we started recording, Rebekah told us she had hit a milestone in her weight loss. Do you want to share with everyone?
103 pounds down.
Right.
Wow.
Must be nice. We should have like a it must be nice to have
nice.
Must be nice to have Rebekah on the line. So Rebekah and I know each other from an accountability group that we were in back. When did you join? It was in June 2016 when you started?
Yeah, so it's my 3-year anniversary.
Hooray!
Congratulations.
Insert clapping sound. Of
Journey
the
venture.
journey.
Journey venture. Yes, thank you.
Thank you for doing that. So Rebekah and I met in 2016 online, and I remember I had already lost about 50 pounds at the time, and Rebekah joined the community that I was in, and you were moving from Kansas to Georgia, right?
Yes.
And I remember you posted, you were like, I'm starting Weight Watchers tomorrow, and I'm also moving to Georgia. And I was like, oh, bless her heart. This is never going to last.
No, that's not. You can't lose weight and move to Georgia at the same time.
But I was like really nervous for you. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a big change for her. I didn't even know you, but I was already like invested in your move. And you made it happen. You were actually interviewed on the Half Size Me podcast, episode 318. And Rebekah goes into deep detail about her weight loss journey there. But maybe you can start out by just giving us like a 2-minute
give us
sort
the
of
highlights
refresh
of your early life and struggles with weight, etc.
Yeah.
Okay. I know Katherine is so jealous of this, but I gained 80 pounds when I was in college. Only 80 pounds when I was in college.
I know you were heavier than me. Must be nice.
Must be nice.
So, I lost 80 pounds when I was interviewed for that first interview. And the course of my weight loss journey was accountability groups, Weight Watchers. And I just followed Weight Watchers and walked. That's really all I did. I think the move to Atlanta made it a lot easier because when I was in Kansas, I was going to a lot of happy hours and eating a lot of appetizers with my friends there. And moving to Atlanta as I was starting my weight loss journey, kind of all the habits went away and I was by myself. So I was able to make all new habits with new friends. So I think that was probably a huge part of the success.
Yeah, I know Gretchen Rubin talks about the clean slate effect, where moving to a new area or starting a new job gives you kind of a fresh start in becoming a new version of yourself.
Was it also really fun just to say, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore?
Yes.
Yes, Donald, that was super fun. But I remember too, you had lost a bunch of weight and you had to go back to Kansas for a meeting, didn't you? And you kind of were a little freaked out by the experience of returning to your old stomping grounds. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So a year after, well, it was probably more than a year, probably a year and a half after I moved to Atlanta, I needed to go back for some training for a whole week. And I actually felt like I put 100 pounds back on just being out there because it was weird being my new self in my old home. And I would pass by all the fast food restaurants that I used to go to. And I looked at all the elevators that I used to take instead of the stairs. So it was very weird.
I remember when you posted about that, and I remember exactly where I was when I was reading that, and I was.
There's, you remember the day Kennedy was shot, you remember where you were on 9/11, and you remember where you were when you read Rebekah's post about going home.
I was at that Disney exhibit over that they were doing for the auction down the street from us. But I remember reading that and being so like, oh my gosh, I totally get that, like returning to your old self in your old place. And I think I do that a lot when I go back to New Jersey. Oh my goodness.
When I go to New Jersey,
it's like I remember the food.
It messes with my head completely. Like I can't, I need to be with my family somewhere not in New Jersey because then I can, I feel like I can keep a handle on myself. But as soon as I get back there, it's just like those old habits just fit me like a glove. It's really weird.
A tight glove.
Yeah, exactly.
A men's extra large.
Men's triple extra large.
So how did you navigate that week? Like how did you kind of recover from that?
Well, I really just tried to stay focused on my habits, but I definitely overate while I was out there because I was hanging out with all the old friends that I had, and we just would drink and eat pizza, and I wouldn't say it was successful.
I wouldn't either. No, but I do that too. I mean, we have family who come to visit, and even though they're not eating poorly, my instinct is to deal with stress with food when I'm around old situations or people that I associate with food. So I totally get that. And I think that's really a big part of the maintenance journey too, is that I thought I was just going to hit a goal weight and then be like, I'll just add 100 calories a day and I'll maintain. But can you talk a little bit about your experience with maintenance? So you hit maintenance, or you hit the 100 pounds down in, was it March of 2018?
Actually, it was June 2018. Next weekend is my 1 year anniversary of 100 pounds.
All right.
Clap, 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 vuvuzela sound. We'll insert the vuvuzela sound later. So,
okay.
But you did something big to celebrate your 100 pounds down. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, yes. So I actually told my 267-pound self in 2016 that if I reached 175 pounds, I was going to take myself to Europe because I always wanted to go, and I just made that commitment to myself.
That's great.
And so you did.
Yes, I booked a trip to Paris.
I thought you were going to say you went to Paris Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. In Las Vegas.
No.
Those tickets are cheaper.
So you went to Paris, and you were at around that time you were also interviewed by the Half Size Me podcast, and you went through a really big kind of transformation after your Half Size Me interview aired. It was episode 318. So I remember you went to Paris, you posted all these great photos, and at that time it was like your birthday week. and also your Half Size Me podcast was airing. And can you tell us a little bit about sort of what happened upon your return from Paris?
Yes. So a couple episodes ago, you guys actually talked about losing weight doesn't make all your problems go away. And my entire adult life, I refused to admit that I wasn't straight. And I kind of always let the 100 pounds that was on my body be an excuse for not living my true self. And once I lost all the weight, I went to Paris to celebrate. I remember thinking, I'm still in the closet. Like, I'm still living a lie. Just because I'm, quote, thin now, I have other problems I need to deal with. So 6 days after that trip, I told all my friends and family that I was gay.
Wow. How did they react?
Everyone was shocked because I'm in my 30s. And I don't think anyone really saw it coming. But I mean, now it's been over a year and everything's fine. But at the time, it seemed it was very shocking to people.
Well, and I remember too, when you came out, your emotions were on overload. I remember you kind of went radio silent for like a week and a half, and you moved out of living with your boyfriend, and it was your birthday week, and I felt like everything kind of happened at once, and it was really huge for you, and you had to come out to your parents too. I know.
Do you feel like that you were ever in danger of going back to your old eating habits at that point? Like, was it, did it put a lot of pressure on your diet and exercise program?
Yes, I had been pretty successful for months and months without binging, but I definitely binged the night before I told my parents. I binged the night before I saw my parents for the first time because I had to, tell them over the phone the first time. Then the first time I saw them in person a couple months later, I binged probably 2 nights in a row because I was so stressed out. The night before I introduced my girlfriend to my parents, I binge ate. I definitely reverted back to old habits during this portion of my life.
No, I remember that. And I think I empathetically also binge ate before you did all of those things too. Because did it help me overeating because you were going through a stressful time?
Maybe I ate a little less.
But I remember, I kind of saw that your relationship maybe wasn't what you were saying it was, because you had said something about, oh, is there a singles group for something? And I was like, wait a minute, she lives with her boyfriend. Why is she going to Paris with him? But for me, I remember when you came out, I was just so excited that you were letting go of that veil. And I knew how scary it was for you to open up to everyone. But then I also saw just a transformation in you, like having a girlfriend and suddenly being more your authentic self. Like, how do you feel your personality changed when finally that weight was lifted, that secret was lifted? How do you feel you sort of came out as a person after that?
Oh, yes. I think the fact that I came out about exact same time as I kind of entered into maintenance has probably made my first year of maintenance journey different than most people, because it's been the happiest year of my life. And everyone,
that's great.
Yeah. And everyone who knows me, including my parents, everyone tells me they've never seen me happier. And I feel just so happy that I'm living the life I've wanted to live for, 18 years. So it just feels so good.
Aw, well, that's wonderful. And we've met Allison. Lovely, lovely woman.
Yeah, we had a fantastic breakfast. Was that last year?
That was last fall.
Wow.
Yeah.
October 2018.
It was.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it was that long ago.
Well, and even though, we talked about it, finding your girlfriend and, investing in that relationship, becoming more yourself, it didn't fix everything. You still had, a job that was not really great for you. So can you talk a little bit, you lost 100 pounds and then you ended up maintaining your weight for about a year, even though it wasn't your goal weight. Can you talk about sort of how that year went of maintenance?
Yes. So I was not happy. It's funny because we just talked about losing weight doesn't make all your problems go away. Well, coming out doesn't make all your problems go away either, because I still hate
What?
That is a shocking twist to this whole story.
So I also just, a lot of things, happened at my job that just, it didn't make it the right fit for me anymore. And I really needed to try to find something else. And during that searching process, I started stress eating again because I wanted this change, and I didn't, there's so much opportunity in Atlanta, but sometimes it can feel overwhelming trying to find a new job. And I definitely stress ate until I found my new job. But right now, I actually have everything I've always wanted. I love my job, my girlfriend, and my weight.
Okay, Donald, 1, 2, 3. Must be nice. Sorry. But I remember when you were in your previous job and there were people who were leaving your company, you were like, oh my gosh, other people are leaving and I'm staying. And I remember with the hours that you were working versus the hours that your girlfriend was working, can you talk a little bit about the struggle that you faced with living with someone who does not have a weight issue?
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
Oh, there's a lot to talk about there, because even though it's obviously the best year of my life, it is very weird. Well, first, let's talk about how weird it is to lose 100 pounds and feel small. Everyone at my last job, obviously on a day-to-day basis, always told me how small I looked and how, don't get too thin. And I was actually feeling very small. And then I move in and start dating someone who's smaller than me. And that felt very weird because now I'm over it. But a year ago, I felt huge all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely can imagine.
Well, and you had said that, when you met, didn't you say that she had a Fitbit on in her photo, and then when you met, she wasn't wearing a Fitbit, or you were like trying to gauge her fitness level compared to yours?
Yes. On our first date, the first thing I said to her was, "Where's your Fitbit?" She went and bought one.
That's so funny. People falsify things in their dating profiles, and the thing you notice is the Fitbit.
She photoshopped a Fitbit onto her wrist.
But how did you kind of bridge, as Donald and I have been married for 21 years total, 19 happy years. That's just a joke.
19 of them were happy?
19 were happy.
I was going to say 17 happy years.
All right.
21
we see
total.
It differently. But dating someone, you look like a fit and trim person. How did you kind of bridge that? Hey, I've actually just lost 100 pounds. How did that go in terms of your dating, beginning dating?
Oh, it was so hard because even on our first date, it was kind of late at night and I didn't want to order, a hamburger and fries because I thought, I have weigh-in in 2 days. So I ordered a salad, and she even did make a comment like, "Oh, you're just getting a salad?" And I felt so awkward because I didn't want, the first thing I, said to her was, "Oh, I'm trying to lose weight," So it was awkward because I didn't know how much to share and when, and I felt like I was a total mess. On top of it being new, it's a new thing for me to be dating.
Right. Well, because you were with your previous relationship for 10 years, right?
Yes. So I'm new on the dating scene, new in my body. And I remember the night before, I was even thinking, what do I tell her I lost 100 pounds? I didn't even know where to start because I didn't want her to think that I was, some crazy diet person.
I wonder too, and I know I promise there's a question coming. I know that for me, I've been basically this weight for over a year now, and the mental me is still the guy who was 100 pounds heavier than I am right now. And I'm still walking around thinking of myself as that shape. And I am pleasantly surprised every time I look in a mirror and I'm like, oh, wait, this is what I look like now. I'm wondering if you being with Allison and you thinking that she's smaller had something to do with that. Maybe she's not actually smaller than you, but your mental image of yourself wouldn't allow you to think that you were basically the same size.
Yeah. And I actually She still sometimes will make fun of me for this. We hadn't had any pictures together, or we hadn't looked in a mirror together. So on our third date, in my mind, I was just thinking, I must look huge compared to her. Like, this is never going to work long term because I can't be this huge giant, you know? And so I asked her, like mid dinner, I said, can we just go in the bathroom really quick? Because I have to look. We need to look in a mirror together. She looked at me like I was insane. And
well, whatever. If that's what you're into, looking at mirrors together, right?
Yeah. So she followed me and she looked at me like I was crazy. We looked in the mirror together and I said, oh, we do look cute together. And she said, what? And she didn't get it. She does now. But we walked back she didn't want to get into it because she had just met me, but she really did think I was crazy. But it helped a lot once I realized that we were about the same size. She wears a smaller pant size, but she's also shorter than me. So yeah, once I actually saw us together, I felt a lot better.
Well, and I remember you two going like, she doesn't know this, but I just tried on her shirts. Haha. Like, and like you being able to fit into her clothing, you know, because you are so much taller than her, you know, obviously you're shaped differently, but you're a thin person who has become a thin person. And I know you talked a lot about your fear of talking to her about your issues because she doesn't have a food issue. Can you talk about because Donald and I have been on this journey together, and so we get each other's food obsessions.
Yeah, for sure.
How was it talking to her about those food issues? Because I know you struggled a bit.
It was really scary. So the times that I was just telling you about, the binging, you know, when I was talking to my parents, at that point, we hadn't moved in together yet. But the most recent, just a couple months ago when I left my last job, I was secret eating and sneaking food from her because I would go to the store, buy food so I could eat later that night because I was just so stressed with my job, and I would leave it in my car. And then she would go to bed because she had to wake up super early, and I would say, oh, I'm just going to watch, an episode on TV. I'll be up in a minute. And I would go out to my car, get the food, eat it, and then go upstairs and act like nothing happened. And I was doing that for weeks until I realized I am having this is a huge issue that I'm sneaking food from her. But I felt like I had to go so out of my way because I was living with someone who wouldn't understand because it wouldn't occur to her to eat 8 cupcakes because she's stressed out about work, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I told you and you told me I had to tell her.
Well, I think it's, that secret eating. And we talked about it. We had an episode called Party of One, I think, back around December of 2018, where we talked about how being in a relationship with someone who doesn't have an issue, and even with Donald and I, like if he's doing really well and is eating well, and I'm feeling weak, like I still have a secret eating issue, and that doesn't really go away. But I think being honest about it and talking about it definitely helps.
Yeah, even after all this time, when I feel like I'm largely in control, I will occasionally have a binging issue, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly what triggers it. I mean, I kind of know, but Catherine and I are very aware of each other's issues, and we love each other unconditionally, and I still don't like her to see me eating when I'm having a binge episode. And it's like I'm rational enough to know that I don't want her to see me doing it. And there's also this part of me that like doesn't want her to stop me. When I'm in that mode, I'm like, I want to do this and I'm going to do it.
Well, and I've told Dawn too, like if I'm in the kitchen and I'm quiet, and it's after 7:00 and I'm like, I'm just going to be in the kitchen for a few minutes. If I'm quiet and you don't hear pots and pans, that means I'm secret eating. But I had to tell him that because it's so easy to just dismiss someone as like, oh, she's being productive or she's organizing something. It's like, no, I'm organizing Junior Mints in my mouth. So because I remember you like not even wanting to go home or be at home unless she was home because you were concerned about your secret eating. Like you'd go out and like walk at night, right?
Yes. So this is the portion right before I was leaving my job and I wanted out that if she was going to get home late, I wouldn't go inside. Even if it was 10 o'clock at night, I would just walk outside until she
I remember that.
And I made her make me go to bed with her so that way I wouldn't be up without her. There was 2 solid months that I felt like I couldn't even be alone at home.
I remember that. Well, and I know leaving your job was really rough, but it's funny too, because I'm an overthinker. You know, I lay out, pros and cons and whatever. And you're like, I'm coming out. And for me, it was like, she snapped her fingers and she was out. Like, I'm leaving my boyfriend. Like, I'm going to date Allison. I'm going to leave my job. I've got a new job. Like when you put your mind to something, you get it done. But I know that maintenance.
Just like Chopin. That guy got it done.
She hasn't listened to that episode yet.
Oh, yeah.
I said in a recent episode, I was saying that Chopin was really successful. And the only thing I could think of to say was he got it done.
Chopin, that guy got it done is what she said.
So I'm very articulate. But like, you switched jobs, and that sort of, what do you think that was a catalyst for the next phase? Like, you are maintaining kind of accidentally for a long time. How was changing jobs kind of the next step of your transformation?
Well, it was great because I've been at my new job for a little over 3 months, and I've lost 15 pounds in the past 3 months.
Must be nice.
It's obviously the pounds that I lost was the same pounds that I gained, as I was leaving my last job. But still, I'm at my lowest weight now.
Yay.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
It was definitely a catalyst. Yeah, because all the habits that I had at my last job, there was a Starbucks in the building. There was a million restaurants outside. So if I was stressed out with, what I was working on with my job, I would just go out and get food. Where now there's no restaurants around. So it just same thing you just said with Gretchen Rubin. It was a clean slate. So I haven't been to a restaurant anywhere near my new job because I just told myself if I need food, I can go to the grocery store because I don't want those habits in place anymore.
Right.
Yeah, that's really great. And I think a lot of what I do is what you're talking about, where I just make that rule. I don't open that door, like, because as soon as that door is open, I fling it open and I jump through with, my open arms, and just not allowing that door to even open in my head is really helpful.
Well, and you've got a couple of things too, because you found out you're gluten intolerant, correct?
Yes. Yeah. I actually have quite a few food sensitivities now that I'm dealing with. That's a whole nother thing.
Right. But you talked about being an abstainer, which means there are certain foods that you just don't have, and that your girlfriend is a moderator. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges that you face there?
Yes. So I am 100% gluten and dairy free, but I still was I was lying to myself thinking that I could be a moderator with sweets, because they do make gluten-free, dairy-free cupcakes and pastries, and she can eat, it's the craziest thing, she can eat one donut. And
what's one donut?
I know.
I'm not familiar with that unit of measure.
I don't really understand. Is that like some European thing?
It's like a metric thing. I don't know. We'll figure
system,
it out.
Yeah, I guess.
She can eat one donut, feel satisfied, she got her sweet fix in, and she'll just go about the day. And
I am shaking my head right now.
That's like living in bizarro world to me. I don't understand it.
My stepmother is like that. She can have a latte and be like, I'll eat next Tuesday. And I don't have that. Like, I have lost 150 pounds and I still don't know what it's like to be satisfied.
Well, not to take the focus off of Rebekah, but for me, it's all about portion size. Like, for some reason, I am perfectly capable, if I buy like treats, if I buy like fun-sized Snickers bars, there's a little one per package. I can actually moderate that. But if I bought a bag that was just open and they were all just loose in there,
like M&Ms,
then I would just eat the entire bag. And it's like this weird psychological thing for me. But I couldn't just eat a donut unless they were each like in an individually sealed package somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know why that works that way. And I don't even have a question here, but I just...
But like Donald and I don't know if anyone knows this, we were vegan for 8 years, which we haven't really talked about on the podcast. I was vegan for 8 years. And I thought like, it's a vegan donut. I'm saving Mother Earth. Like,
Yeah.
So you, Rebekah, were talking about gluten-free products like sweets and stuff, and you found that you had to just abstain from them and not moderate?
Yes, because Allison is so sweet, and she found this bakery that makes gluten-free donuts, and she was being so nice and bought 6 of them so that way we could eat them one per day for 3 days.
One per day.
One per day.
Sorry, I'm not laughing at you, but that's
that's just not something that I could do.
So did you manage to eat one per day?
No, I told her that I can't do this because if I eat one, I'm not going to think about anything else until I eat the other one and then the other one. So finally, after months of me desperately trying to just eat one donut and act normal, I finally told her I can't eat sweets. I feel better just not eating them altogether.
Yeah. I totally understand that. And I, by the way, I looked it up, the Party of One episode, which was about being in a relationship with somebody who's not on the same page with you, is episode 50 of this show for anybody who wants to go back and listen. But I'm wondering, like, how is she with your whole eating and exercise situation? Do you think that has created any challenges in in sticking to it and or your relationship because she's not, it doesn't have to deal with the same things you do?
I think if I wouldn't have been so public about my weight loss, I have a public Instagram. I post before pictures all the time. I feel like it's almost my identity, at least to me, that I'm someone who is a former obese person. And I have a lot of friends like you two and other people from the accountability group that I talk to all the time. And I am very open about my issues. I think if I wouldn't have been, if I just would have lost the weight and try not to talk about it and just met someone and tried to pretend that I didn't have issues, I could easily have gained it back. But I think since it's such a part of my life and I have so many connections who are also on the same journey, it wasn't an option for me just to gain the weight back,
Totally.
Yeah, I get that completely.
Well, and I think the reason that we met was because we were in an accountability group together, and I didn't realize that in this last time weight loss journey that accountability was something that I needed. Like, I identify as a Gretchen Rubin obliger, which means that having external accountability helps me. And Rebekah, you identify as an obliger, correct?
Yes.
So Donald is not an obliger. He is mostly a questioner, rebel.
Mostly, yeah.
So he doesn't need accountability. He doesn't need anybody to look at what he's doing. He doesn't need to post about it on Instagram. And that is a difference in our relationship because accountability has been huge for me and being public about it has been huge for me. And obviously we have a podcast. So that is for me a really good reason to keep the weight off because right now we only look thin. But
yeah, for
but
sure.
Donald doesn't need that accountability like I do. So that's been I know that's been big for me. How does, in terms of your relationship, your day-to-day relationship, how do you guys eat the same things? Do you work out together? How does that work?
We do eat the same things if we are cooking at home because she likes healthy food. It's not that she refuses to eat other food other than M&Ms, But if we're going to have salmon and asparagus, we both will eat that. But if I'm at work and she's at work, I don't know what she eats, but I'm sure it's not the same thing that I eat,
Yeah.
Yeah, Catherine and I think I've talked about it before. We actually make separate meals because we don't eat the same way. And, we've just settled into the routine of we each make our own food and it works for us.
Well, and I think when we first got together, I felt a lot of pressure to the standard American couple. You eat dinner together and there's a vegetable and a potato and a star.
Yeah.
And we've luckily gotten away from that, which I think has helped us because...
Yeah, we try and time it so that we're eating at the same time. So we're still having, a family dinner, but we're not concerned about eating the exact same food.
Yeah. So for you and starting your new job, what is it like being a thin person in a new job environment where they don't know that you only look thin?
It's crazy. Now that I've been there 3 months, I'm kind of used to it, but that first couple weeks, it was really bizarre because no one was telling me, how great I looked on a daily basis because they're just used to me looking like that,
Yeah, completely.
Well,
I get that.
And two, I remember you saying you were trying to decide whether or not you would tell anyone that you lost weight. Have you actually come out to anyone about your weight yet?
There's so much to come out about. I actually did tell this one girl, one of my coworkers, I finally did tell her because she's actually on a weight loss journey, but she's not actually in my team. As far as my team, none of them know that I've lost weight. I think they just think I like to go walking at lunch and, drink black coffee.
Yeah.
Ice water.
Well, and I remember too, you said that you had gone out to lunch one day with a fit person and someone who was not as fit, and then yourself. And the fit person, didn't they like salad shame the other person?
My coworker, yes. So my coworker, she's lost 30 pounds since I've been there, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And we went out to lunch with this other coworker who's very thin. I mean, very thin and naturally thin. And yeah, my coworker who's losing weight ordered this big salad. And yeah, the other coworker said, "Whoa, that's a big salad. How are you going to eat all that?"
Oh,
no. That's the worst.
Yeah, even though her meal had less calories than the other woman's meal.
And didn't you like flip the table over, or am I just imagining that you did that?
No, I did. I pointed at her meal and said, "Your meal has twice," because I feel like I know calories so well that I can look at a meal and know the calories. I said, "Your meal has twice as many calories as that salad." And she just looked at me, stunned that I even said that because I was quick to back her up.
Yeah, well, good for you. I think that there's this thing of naturally thin people, or I don't know if even that's the right thing to call them, but people who have never had a weight issue where they feel like it's that other people are broken and they feel like they have a right to say things like that, and it's not kind and it's not helpful.
So in my last job, I lost 100 pounds in front of everybody, and I felt like all eyes were on me. Every time I ate anything, anytime I drank anything, everyone wanted to know what I was eating, what I was drinking, because I was, a huge success, and everyone was just so interested in what I was doing all the time. And that was a little exhausting. My new job, if I eat or drink anything, nobody cares. I mean, no one cares if I'm putting half and half of my coffee or if I'm not, or how many steps I'm getting. Nobody asks me any questions because to them, I'm just a normal person. So that part is really nice, but it is weird.
Well, and two, I remember at your previous job, wasn't there a guy who was like on was it a weight loss journey, or was he saving money? I can't remember, but it was something like he would judge you if you spent money on a certain thing, or like he was kind of your like police.
It was weight loss, and like he knew about my goals, and I think he was trying to help. But if I, went and had a snack, or if I spent money that I said I wasn't going to, he would always call me out on it. So even though he was trying to help me, that bothered me because if you want to spend your money and you need something, you just want to do it.
Yeah, no, I get it. And it's the same thing with eating. And I'm also wondering, because I know this has happened to me, you're in this new environment with new people, and I work on primarily TV shows. And so I will end up with an almost entirely new group of people about every 6 months in between seasons of shows. And the people have essentially stopped telling me that I look great. Just like you were saying, they don't tell you look great at your new job unless I run into somebody who I haven't seen in a few years. And I used to get a real thrill out of people saying that. And now I don't have that anymore. Has that played into your mindset at all? And how do you deal with it?
Well, it is weird because so my girlfriend only knows me at my current size, and my coworkers only know me at my current size. So my day-to-day life, everyone who sees me thinks I'm normal. So on one hand, I love it that I'm just in this new life. But on the other hand, I sometimes miss having the reassurance that I'm a success. But I think I just try to focus on the positive that, like, this is awesome. 3 years ago, I would have killed someone for this life, and I just try to enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. For me, I know there's the part of me that really misses the thrill of that. And I think in the past, I may have even sabotaged myself after having some success because people stopped telling me that I looked good and I needed that rush again. And, it's been a struggle to keep from falling into those old traps.
Do you, Rebekah, do you ever run into anyone who knew you at your old size who maybe treats you differently now at your smaller size?
I felt like some coworkers in Kansas did, because I did have to run into them since it was the same company. Like if I was traveling out there, if they were traveling to Georgia, I felt like I got more respect now that I've lost weight. So that was interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if I talked about it on the podcast, but there was a woman who was a mom at my daughter's school who wanted nothing to do with me when I was 250 pounds. We ran into her at a carnival for another school, and she could not get away from me fast enough. Palpably like, oh, my phone is ringing, walk away kind of thing. And
it was also because you were very rude, though.
I was very rude. We're not taking that into account.
I'm kidding.
But I saw her after I'd lost about 60 pounds, and I was going up an escalator and she was coming down an escalator, and she was like, oh my God, you look amazing, blah, blah, blah. And like, luckily, we were on escalators going in different directions, so I didn't have to stop and talk to her. But the next time I saw her at school, she came up and gave me a huge hug, and we were volunteering at the same event.
Weird.
And she like had her arm around me, and like I just wanted to there was no mistaking it. Like she wanted nothing to do with me. When I was heavier, and then suddenly I was in the thin club.
You're good enough for her now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like I'm getting angry just thinking about it, but like it is definitely a thing. I think sometimes it can be one's own self-esteem changing and how you kind of view yourself. But I do definitely think that in this case, I will not use her name, but I was definitely treated differently. And luckily we're not in this, like, I don't see her anymore. Our daughters are in different schools, so it's not an issue, but it fills me with rage. But speaking of rage, no, I'm not. Let's not go down a dark path. But you said that, not seeing your number on the scale change. I know it has changed recently. Vuvuzela sound here, but you recently did something to level up your game in the form of some sort of scan. Could you tell us about the scan that you received?
Not scam, scan.
Yeah. So after a whole year of the scale basically being the same, little up, little down, I think I'm just bored with seeing the same number. So I was trying to think of like another goal that I could have. And I was thinking about trying to do a running goal, but I really didn't want to, I kind of, did away with that. So I went and got a DEXA scan.
What's that?
Yeah, I don't actually know what that is.
I didn't do that much research on it before this podcast, but supposedly it's the gold standard of measuring lean body mass. So you get in a kind of like a cage.
Very sexy. A sexy cage.
I don't know. You just lay there and this machine kind of it's a very, very light x-ray. I've heard that it's safe. I don't know. But it goes...
We're good. It's fine.
It goes over you, and you just have to be still for 1 minute, and then it gives you all these charts and graphs, and it will tell you what body percent, like my fat body percentage is 28.2%, which is an acceptable range. And I was really excited because I haven't started strength training until recently. So I have something to work towards now,
Yeah, I know. I know. We did an episode recently called the hedonic treadmill, which is about this this concept of, despite really large life events such as losing 100 pounds, people eventually become used to them and they sort of settle back into this normal level of happiness, or roughly the same. They get used to things, and needing something new to strive for all the time is really helpful to keep going. And so that sounds like what you're doing.
Well, and it sounds like a non-scale victory, an NSV, where you're ready to level up. So, what are you doing now? Now that you've had the DEXA scan and know your metrics, what have you changed?
Well, there is a gym that's a half mile away from my work that I was using really only to take showers, because I'll go running and walking in the morning out at the gym, and then just in the neighborhood, and then I'll go in, take a shower, get ready for work. Well, I bought a couple of personal training sessions at the gym just so they could show me the different machines so I could feel a little more comfortable, since I've never been into lifting. So I did that a couple weeks ago, and now I've been lifting 2 or 3 times a week.
Oh, wow.
No, that's great.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
I haven't posted about it because it's so much easier to post running pictures than weightlifting pictures, because I feel so awkward around other people.
Yeah, no,
I get it. And again, that may play into a little bit of that, mental image, at least for me, that I have of myself of being somebody much heavier than I am right now.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, for us, and we've talked about leveling up, when you started this whole journey, how many, you weren't getting very many steps at all when you first started. What were you kind of hitting?
Probably under 2,000.
Yeah. I mean,
wow. Yeah. That's basically where I was too.
And you moved to a city that allowed you a lot more walking. And I know that you got a Fitbit, and you upped what did you up your goal to? Like 10,000?
10 or 15,000. For a while, I was getting 20,000 a day, but now I get between 10 and 20,000 every day.
Yeah, that's great.
But you didn't start there, and over time, leveling up and deciding what you're ready to take on. I know you've done some pretty intense long hiking adventures too. Didn't you do one in Colorado?
Yes, I hiked a 14er. That was actually to celebrate my 50-pound loss.
Wow.
Which I can't believe it, because I was still over 200 pounds when I did that.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
So what's next for Rebekah?
Well, my goal that I'm focusing on right now is I want to see if I can get down to 24% body fat.
Wow.
Because that is the quote fit range, the top of the fit range. Right now I'm in the acceptable range.
Yeah, I think I'm just in the acceptable range by the charts online. So I'm wondering if we could, before we wrap up, if there's anything, let's say you could go back in time and talk to yourself of 3 years ago. Is there anything that you would say, any advice that you would give to the person who is just starting out?
You have said this so many times, but start where you are. I don't think you can say that enough, because the diet that I have now compared to 3 years ago, it is completely different. I eat mostly unprocessed food. I only drink black coffee. I mean, if you would have told me in 2016, this is the way I was going to have to eat, I would never even have started. It would have felt too extreme, because at the time I was eating, Sonic and Burger King for dinner, Starbucks muffins for breakfast. I was just eating fast food all the time. So it's okay to change one meal at a time, or to make very small changes, because eventually it's going to feel normal and you're going to be ready for the next change. But if you try to overhaul your entire life at once, it will feel too hard. And I don't think anyone could stick to it.
Yeah, I love that. That's perfect. I'm wondering too, if there's anything that has been a surprise about maintenance, like something that you didn't expect that you would, like to share.
I think I thought that I would love clothes shopping because I can wear a size 8 or a 10 now, or a small or a medium. And I don't get this thrill clothes shopping like I thought I would. So I think that's the biggest, I still hate it. And I think that's the biggest surprise.
Yeah, it's funny. I dress pretty much like I did back then. But I'm still not sure if it's because I'm just used to wearing kind of classic, nothing fussy or frilly. I think you and I are kind of the same. It's like just sort of basic structured pieces. But I totally understand that. Like thinking suddenly, I mean, and I've said it before too, I have to try on 7 pairs of jeans to find the right fit for me still. Like it's not like suddenly the entire world is open to me and everything looks great on me. I still have to sort of figure out what looks good. So
yeah, when I was a size 20, I remember thinking, man, I would be so happy if I could wear a size 8. My life would be perfect. I would love clothes shopping. And it is weird that I still don't know what stores to go to. I still hate it. So that is a surprise.
Yeah, and I just wear t-shirts and jeans, which is what I wore before I lost all the weight. It's the same thing, basically, just smaller sizes.
I always feel bad, like going on Instagram and seeing all these people like post like pictures in their Lululemon outfits or whatever, and I'm like, Catherine's wearing jeans again. I'm like, woohoo! Maybe I'd get more followers if I wore fewer clothing options, but or fewer clothes. But anyway, so we wanted to move on, as you know, our beloved Tows and Pows, our tips of the week and our products of the week. And we have a very special
real treat. It's a special guest tip of the week and product of the week. It's Rebekah.
It's Rebekah, and we're doing a tip of the week with Rebekah. Rebekah, tip of the week to you.
Tip of the week to you. Tow. Wow.
We are so dorky.
Love hearing someone else say that.
So, Rebekah, do you have a tip for our beloved listeners that you would like to share?
It's been said before, but I have to say, joining an accountability group, because Instagram and Facebook accountability groups have been everything for me when I started and have been everything for me as I maintain. Because if I was only living in my current world, work and home, I wouldn't have anyone who I could relate to. So I really think I would have struggled to gain weight back if I didn't have connections with people who got me and who are struggling with the same thing.
Totally. No, and I remember when I was in Weight Watchers, I never, like, the meetings were structured and people would be like, how many points are in this bag? How many points are in that bag? And I never talked about secret eating or shame or emotional eating. Like, it was never a place for me to actually have a roundtable discussion. So I would agree. Accountability groups are a great way to be honest and vulnerable, because you're not actually, it's not like it's your coworker that you're talking to. It's potentially strangers on the interweb that you become face-to-face friends with, like you and I.
Yeah. And there's also a we only look thin accountability group, which I hear is the best one.
Well, we're making progress there, by the way, on the Walt Place thing, but we'll talk about that soon. So thank you. Tip of the week to you, Rebekah.
Tip of the week to you.
Tip of the week to you.
And now we're going back to back on this. We're going to come out with a product of the week starring Rebekah. Product of the week. Pow!
Pow!
Wow.
Surprisingly, Rebekah.
I love your enthusiasm. That's fantastic.
Rebekah, what is your product of the week?
So have you talked about step bets or run bets? It's the same company. It's just 2 different types of bets before.
No, I don't think so. No.
Tell us about it.
I'm actually not that familiar with either one.
It's a little similar to what you talked about on a recent podcast where you get money for achieving your goals. I can't remember what you were talking about.
That was achievement. Yeah. And that was, you link your Fitbit or whatever fitness tracking you have to their app, and eventually, when you do enough stuff, they'll give you $10. It's pretty great. I get $10 for doing something I would do anyway.
Yeah, but tell us about what the step bet and the run bets are.
So they are, as an obliger, I rely on outside accountability, and with the step bet will link with your Fitbit. And when you sync it with your Fitbit, it will look back on your history, and it will determine what your daily steps should be. It will give you an active day and a power day. And you have to, for example, it'll give you 10,000 steps that you have to get 4 times a week, and 12,000 steps that you have to get 2 times a week. And then you get 1 rest day. And every day you get your steps, you sync it with the app, and you'll get like a check mark. And the challenges are 6 weeks long. And if you have 2 rest days, or if you don't meet your steps for, those 2 days, you lose your money. It will cost $40 to join this group. And if you don't, accomplish your goal in those 6 weeks, you'll lose your money. But if you do accomplish your goal, you get the loser's money.
Wow. So no, I think that's really great. I think it's like for a lot of people, their health is some sort of abstract concept unless they're actually having an issue, unless they actually get the diabetes diagnosis or whatever. But hitting people in their pocketbook is something that a lot of people can relate to in an immediate way, as opposed to just this abstract, oh, your health will suffer.
Oh, yeah.
So have you met all of your goals, or have there ever been any times where you weren't able to and you lost all your money?
I have met my goals, but I have taken extreme measures to meet them. I mean, one time...
That sounds healthy.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I mean, I think I had a fever one time and I was still out walking, or it was, 20 degrees below zero, and I was visiting my parents in Michigan, and it was really icy and I was still outside walking. But the cool thing is I have been consistently working out for 3 years now. And I'm always in a step bet or a run bet. In the run bet, it's the same concept, but it links with your Strava app, and you have to get a certain amount of miles per day in a certain pace. So those are the ones that I like to do now, because I have, let's say I have to get 6 miles in under 15-minute miles, and I'll do it because I don't want to lose my money. Even if I don't even feel like running, I have to go running. And, I can't say enough about how much I love Run Bet and Stat Bet.
Oh, wow.
That's great.
There should be I
might have to look into that.
There should be an intermittent fasting bet. I know we didn't really talk about that. Maybe we'll have you on in another episode. But for intermittent fasting, sometimes I close that eating window. I open that window back up again. I opened it up for 200 calories of Pringles last night, but maybe if I had money riding on it, it would be better. So I think that was our product of the week. Pow!
Pow!
Thank you.
So before we wrap up, and if there's nothing, there's nothing. But is there anything that we haven't talked about, or anything you'd like to say to wrap this up?
Well, not that we're going to talk about intermittent fasting, but I will say something really quick. I do the same thing you both do, and I don't start eating until the afternoon, and I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, that's been really key for me. One of the things I did vigorously at the beginning was try to make sure I always ate breakfast, and now I don't ever eat breakfast. Well, except for vacations or something, but and that has been huge for my success. I know that's not for everybody, but it's nice to hear there are others out there doing the same thing, and it's working.
We've talked about the Zero app before, which I use intermittently, but you can set your and it's more about reducing the number of hours that food is an option for me than it is about whatever perceived medical benefits there are for the fasting part. It's just more about food is not an option at 10 a.m. when I'm stressed out at work. So yeah, and I know you had sort of said what you're doing now in maintenance, you're still moving. It's not like you hit some finish line where suddenly you don't have to pay attention to what you're doing. You're still hustling to keep the weight off.
Yeah, I think it's easier to stay within your calorie goal. For me, if I abstain from certain foods and abstain from certain hours of the day, I don't eat in the morning and I don't eat sweets. And I think just having, some boundaries in place helps me make my life just easier, because if I'm eating better quality foods in the afternoon, I just make better choices.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, that sounds like great advice.
For sure. Well, on a personal level, I don't know how our connection started exactly, other than I was worried about you moving to Atlanta, and then I was invested in
I call it Hotlanta.
Hotlanta. That's so funny. She was like, nobody calls it Hotlanta, and I was like, well, nobody calls California Cali.
Yeah,
so
no one who lives here
now
says
we
that.
both know. But seeing your transformation and seeing your personality, change over time, and thriving after coming out, and how much fear you felt, and overwhelm, and to see you have, break through that and achieve your goals and switch your job and switch your relationship. It's just been so amazing for me to see you transform, and and you're younger than us. And so seeing that happen in your 30s instead of your 40s
must be nice.
Must be nice. But I like your friendship and your support, and we talk a lot or text a lot offline. It's just been really awesome for me personally to have you as part of my life and as part of our accountability group also. But I truly appreciate your friendship and your willingness to share your experience on the show. So that's what I have to say.
Oh, yes. I feel the same way about you, Catherine.
Yay.
Well, thank you so much for being on. And I think this has been a great episode of the show. If you think it's been a great episode of the show, please go to iTunes, Apple Podcasts, and rate and review us. You can or tell somebody to listen.
Yeah, and I didn't actually ask you if you wanted, but do you have any? If anyone wants to find out more about Rebekah, and I didn't actually ask you this before, is there any Instagram people can follow for you, or a way to get in touch?
Yeah, my Instagram handle is Running Rebekah, and I spell Rebekah Rebekah.
All right, I will also put that in the show notes of the show. And you can find our Instagram at We Only Look Thin.
Yeah, and email at weonlylookthin@gmail.com. Facebook, We Only
Twitter
Look
and
Thin.
Facebook are both at We Only Look Thin.
Don't look for us on Snapchat. We're not there. I don't know what that is. I don't want to look like a cute puppy. It's not going to happen.
No. And also, weonlylookthin.com. Did we say that?
I don't know. We did. So Rebekah, thank you again so much for being on this episode. And for our listeners out there, if you don't know the difference between a DEXA scan and a step vet, just remember that Rebekah, Donald, and I are an inspiration. Asian.
The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.